Hey guys, and welcome to the first part of What If Sophia Joined Negan, my new series, and this, spoiler warning, is going to be longer probably than any of my other Walking Dead series. What If Rick Spared the remake is gone for the longest, but this might be longer, or it could be the same amount, so patch yourselves in for a good, long, and well thought out story. Now, I was recommended this by, I believe, Zaffron something. I don't remember the full name. But anyways, he recommended me this, Sophia joining the Saviors and everything. And I just gotten done with What If Negan Killed Maggie, the remake. And just to clarify, this is, if you think about it, similar in regards to my What If Carol Left Lizzie Behind. It's a twisted side to Carol's character because of her relation to Lizzie and how twisted it was for her to be back and joining the Whisperers and all that. But even though that one got popularity in of itself, pretty popular video, this one would be far more twisted. Well, will be far more twisted because it's Carol's own daughter rather than basically Lizzie being the adopted daughter, sort of like Mika. But this is going to be far more twisted because it's Carol's own daughter, and you'll just have to see here how the story turns out, because even though it's going to be a very long story, possibly just as long or longer than my What If Rick Spared Shane remake, trust me guys, you will not be disappointed with the results. So let's set the scene. We begin off with the Horde on the highway, and basically that plays out the same, with Rick reassuring Sophia that he will come back for her and can't shoot the walkers, and pretty much everything that leads up to this scene. If you watch The Walking Dead, you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, what happens differently, and how in the world does Sophia join Negan? Well, that's easy. We all know that Sophia wandered off on her own, but then got bit. But what if we were to assume that she could go a different direction, an entirely new direction, from the way that she got bit, and actually be a bit more cunning? I mean, she's a little girl, but who's to say that she couldn't apply her smarts of being out here to a good degree? Whenever Rick and everyone else gets to the area, it's even harder to track where she was, because this time Sophia is off in a completely different direction from the way that she took originally. And even though that's the case, they still proceed to try and look, which eventually leads to Rick, Shane, and Carl seeing the deer, and then Carl getting shot. Pretty much everything in that regard, besides being harder to track Sophia, goes the way as you would expect. Now, for Sophia, the whole cunning thing, I know it's kind of dumb because she's a little girl, but being out in the woods for a substantial amount of time could pick up on something. But in Sophia's case, since she's a little girl, we're going to assume that she just takes a different route and just keeps going that way, rather than the whole cunning thing. I realized that was maybe a little bit stupid. Anyway, we'll get back to her later. For now, like I said, the whole Carl getting shot thing and Herschel's farm does play out here like it did in the original story. And everything, Shane killing Otis and all that goes the same. Until Daryl goes out on his own to go look for Sophia. Now, he does still find Sophia's doll, because even though Sophia took a different route, who's to say that she couldn't have dropped it in a river, or we're going to assume that she would stick to, if she was going a different direction, a different way from the highway. So she would not be there. Who's to say that she could not have dropped the doll in a nearby river or stream? So The doll would eventually be there, it would just take Daryl longer to find it. Now, Sophia, she's been going a long way and has surprisingly not gotten bit. And any zombies she has seen, she's managed to run away from. Because Sophia being out in the woods for this long has made her somewhat strong and determined, but she's still a little girl. But eventually, she comes across a bunch of people. But it's not Rick and everyone like she thought would finally be catching up to her. It's a man in a leather vest with a barbed wire bat. And why is Negan being introduced? How does this even happen to make this a story? Well, around this time, I feel, would be Negan first getting involved with the whole savior thing, becoming the leader of the saviors, because this would be right at the start of The Walking Dead. And Negan, seeing Sophia, asks her what she's doing all by herself and everything. Sophia, finding the strength to even speak, breaks down, because this would be a while that she's been out on her own, surprisingly living. It says everything about a horde on a highway, losing the people that she was with, and having to be out on her own. And Negan, hearing this, is impressed. This little girl has been out all this time and has not gotten bit. And there's marks on her, sure, but she's still alive. She survived all this time, but all by herself. And he says that he's impressed with this and asks her if she would rather join up with him and the people that he's getting together. Sophia thinks about this for a moment, and true that this is really the best thing that she can do, rather than just aimlessly running around in the woods, possibly soon to get bit. But she really thinks that Rick and Carol, as much as it's taken them forever to find her, they could still be out looking for her. And it was her choice to run away, sure, but she wouldn't think that she would have gone this far away from them, or that they wouldn't be able to find her by this point. They might still be looking for her. But then again, if it's been this long and they haven't found her, she's close to death. If she goes any further and everything else, even to backtrack the way she came, she could die. So this right now, this is the best option that she can get. And she says she agrees, but if they come across her family later on, with Rick and her mom and everything, she wants them to be taken in too. Negan says as long as they aren't a threat to him and his people, then it's all good, and introduces himself as Negan. Meanwhile, while that's going on, everything at the farm, as I said, besides Daryl finding Sophia's doll later than before, like a little bit later, goes the same as you would expect. Once again, until we get to Rick and Herschel about to go out into the woods to get the walkers and then set up the whole Shane breaking the barn open thing. And that eventually rears its ugly turn with Shane finally showing everybody how crazy it is, and, you know, that whole thing playing out as you would expect, leading him to busting open the barn, showing everybody that, oh, you gotta live, you gotta fight for it, and basically showing the roots of his character, because this all would remain the same. Everything led up to this point, most of season 2 would be the same, because it's just a small difference of Sophia not being there. But here's a big difference when the barn's broken open. Sophia's walker isn't in there. So this, even though it's sad that she wasn't in there, it's a good thing she wasn't in there. Because it was a sad moment in general when this happened. And this also means that Rick is not going to shoot her, and that part of, you know, officer friendly isn't going to vanish from him. So Rick, because of this, is still much softer than the original version of him around this story, which is also going to change the dynamic between him and Shane. But for how long? Just because Sophia wasn't here, that's just a small change. But how big of a change do you think it will turn out? And do you still think that it will lead to Shane dying? Or could this set up a brand new plot line for this story? And how do you think Sophia will feel when she gets a true connection with Negan? And that's where we leave things for the moment. Hope you guys enjoyed the first part of this series because, like I said before, you guys are not going to be disappointed. Even though this story is looking to be pretty much my longest to date, it's definitely got a lot of stuff set up for it. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.